So as we think now about the stories of the individuals we support, let's turn our attention to our second video of the evening. It's entitled Lives Empowered.
My home is being fixed, but I'm so grateful for all the help I've gotten. I wish I could thank everybody.
We've had volunteers and organizations come and actually told me they wouldn't be able to help because it was too dangerous. And when y'all came, I was just like, oh, I'm not gonna believe it until I see it. And we came that morning and we seen y'all had basically brought everything from the basement all the way out here. Yeah, y'all exceeded my expectations. Then all the stuff y'all found, I'm happy that y'all came out here.
The best part about being in this program is you just can be yourself. You meet new people, different personalities, you catch on, you learn new words, new phases of art, and you up your skills.
I started because it was in the church, for number one. And I need to know the Lord, get a little closer with the higher power. I need to straighten my life out. And once I started coming, it's exactly what I needed.
In my home, there's never a dull moment. I'm so serious. There's joy in this house all day long. Laughter, I mean, she's a good kid.
Inspiritus has been wonderful. They came in because we didn't know which way to turn. They have cleaned up and just came in and took over and just made everything feel good for us. And it was just awesome.
At this time, we turn our attention to program experts in the 5 areas that Inspiritus offers programs, and I'm joined tonight by Becca Butcher, the Assistant Director of Refugee and Immigrant Services. She's a licensed master social worker with 10 years in the field and 7 years at Inspiritus. I'm also joined by Sherry Baresh, Director of Disaster Services at Inspiritus. She's got more than 15 years in the industry. She's twice been named the National VOAD Volunteer of the Year. She's launched new programs under here at Inspiritus. Janet Arning is the director of our Middle Tennessee programs. She's been in program development for 31 years, 20 of that with Second Harvest Food Bank and the last 11 with Inspiritus and its predecessor. Renee Mason. Renee is the director of Disability and Health Services. She's an RN and has been an RN for the last 28 years. She's served in the disability field in leadership positions for the last 12 years and is a recognized leader in the healthcare field. Suzette Roberts is our final panelist tonight. She's the Director of Children and Family Services, and she's served in executive leadership positions for the last 10 years in child welfare. And she's in her second stint with Inspiritus. She has her Master's of Social Work, and she is a licensed Master Social Worker. Welcome, panelists. We're awfully glad to have your insights tonight. We're gonna, at this point, take a closer look at what surviving to thriving looks like. And so we're gonna turn our attention to Becca Butcher. Becca, we start with you. Inspiritus is wrestling and groaning under the weight of the fact that there are literally tens of thousands of Afghan allies who have evacuated out of Afghanistan. They are looking for a fresh start in America. We expect to welcome over 1,300 Afghan allies at Inspiritus and refugees over the next 12 months. And the journey for an Afghan family to settle into a new country and a new home is daunting. Can you share with us an example of someone in your program who we've seen go from surviving to thriving?
Thanks, John. Sure, I'm happy to. So last year, a refugee from Afghanistan named Riazola enrolled in Inspiritus' Savings Match program to build his family's savings and help increase his credit score. Unfortunately, when COVID hit, he lost his job and was no longer able to pay his family's rent or cover their basic expenses. Inspiritus' economic empowerment coaches connected him to COVID relief funding and helped cover his rent while also helping him look for a new job. Through multiple financial coaching sessions and job coaching sessions, Inspiritus' staff discovered that he had experience in electrical engineering in his home country of Afghanistan, and we were able to place him in a higher paying job as an electrician and maintenance technician. Riazola and his family are now again financially self-sufficient, and they're saving to purchase their first home in the United States.
Holy cow, that's amazing. Becca, we shift gears now to hearing just a little bit about what we're doing in disaster services. Since the pandemic began, we've been responding to disasters across the Southeast, including Alabama, 3 in Tennessee, and in Georgia. Sherry, as we think about families trying to put their lives back together and go from surviving to thriving, can you share with us a story tonight of how Inspiritus has helped a family go from surviving to thriving?
As we were in our response mode to the tornadoes that went from Nashville across Tennessee, then we came upon one home that was very severely damaged, and we tried to find the homeowner for that and was very unsuccessful at doing so until fortunately 6 months later, when we were back in with our recovery, then the paths crossed again. And when we met the father, then he had said, that he had given up all hope, that he had no even thoughts that they would be able to return to their home again. And when we showed up with all of our volunteers and started working, then he started regaining hope and feeling like that he'd had a renewal in life again. And he had shared with us, he had spent 2 tours in Afghanistan, and then he went through this EF4 tornado in the basement with his 5 children. And he said there was no comparison, that with the fear and the courage that it took in Afghanistan, you couldn't even start to compare it to the feeling and the trauma that he went through being in the basement with 5 children and his wife. And he said the trauma and the fear just couldn't even start to be compared, because he had no control over what was happening when he was in that basement. So we were able to help him, and I'm happy to share right now that come Thanksgiving, they will be able to share Thanksgiving dinner in their new home again, back together as they were before the tornado hit. So thank you, John.
Sherry, thanks. I see the theme. There's a home theme, as Becca shared about helping people get established in a new home, and your business model is all about helping people get back into their home. We have Janet Arning with us, and Janet heads up our Middle Tennessee regional programs. Janet, can you share a little bit about one of the remarkable individuals that you've seen go from surviving to thriving in the last year?
Yeah, thanks, John. Yeah, in March of 2020, as COVID-19 really shut down the world, and it kept volunteers at home, our friend Gloria and a few of her neighbors were determined to help us keep our North Nashville food pantry open. Gloria is an active member of our Building Healthy Families program and a founding member of our Healthy Gardens program here in Tennessee. So along with Gloria, neighbors Brenda, Barbara, Trevor, and Ronnie all stepped up during the height of the pandemic. And they were just determined that they would be open throughout the pandemic for not only their neighbors, but for families all across Middle Tennessee whose pantries had shut down. So our friends have experienced firsthand the positive impacts of our empowerment programs in their community, and they've been empowered by them. And so it was only natural for them to step up and help others. And they became essential volunteers of our hunger relief efforts throughout the entire pandemic. You can still find Gloria here in the food bank most days, assisting with helping folks find food, but also assisting with other projects. And so for Gloria and her neighbors, thriving looked like being a leader in their community and helping others survive and thrive by providing for basic needs.
Janet, thanks. It's amazing that folks go from surviving to thriving and really to contributing to their community. We now turn our attention, and I invite you to join me in conversation with Renee. Renee, we've highlighted some of the amazing successes from the other programs. I'd like now to focus our attention on two other areas, both the Children and Family Services and Disability and Health Services. We'll start with you, Renee. Can you share with us an example of one of the many resilient individuals who our team is supporting in their journey from surviving to thriving?
I sure can, John. I would love to. The first person that comes to my mind is Rachel. Rachel has been with Inspiritus for 16 years. And during the first 15 of those, she had 7 different placements. She had so many behaviors, which included frequent visits to the emergency room, hospitalizations, and those behaviors were real barriers to her being able to participate in the community, even at the day centers that she attended. Individuals like Rachel are sometimes relegated to living in institutions like nursing homes, or they can even be placed in the first home that's willing to accept them without their input on what's really important to them. But we knew that Rachel had so much potential, and we didn't give up on her. And so about a year ago, Denise Parker, our Assistant Director of Disability and Health Services, identified a potential placement for her. And with Rachel's input and agreement, we placed her in what we now hope is her forever home. Since she's been there, she has had no behaviors, no emergency room visits, no hospitalizations. She exercises daily, she makes amazing food choices, and she's lost over 40 pounds. She is so incredibly proud of her physical transformation that she now enjoys wearing dresses and pearls and singing at her church. She is truly thriving in this new, what we think is almost perfectly matched shared living arrangement. And we're just so proud of her and so proud for her. When we take the time to help find a placement where an individual like Rachel can build a life, you can truly start to see how they can go from thriving to surviving. An individual with intellectual and developmental disabilities needs a family. They need hobbies. They need social interaction and jobs. They need to be involved in their community. And a perfect placement for them includes a skilled support companion and a forever home so that we can accompany them on navigating through those challenges so that they can make that their reality.
Renee, the story is just another impactful story. Thank you for sharing. And similarly, we now turn to Suzette Roberts. Suzette heads up our Children and Family Services department. She works with at-risk youth and children who are in need of a family intervention and sometimes a family that would come and offer foster care. Suzette, can you tell us a story of one of the remarkable children who are now thriving after being placed into a home that Inspiritus supports?
Absolutely, John. Here at Inspiritus, we receive referrals for youth who are very difficult to place, mostly due to their medical, intellectual, and mental health challenges. Many have experienced multiple but unsuccessful placements and sometimes have even lived in temporary placements for more than 30 days before coming to us. Shane is one of those youth. He grew up in foster care and disrupted several placements before landing at Inspiritus. Shane came to us at the age of 17 with cerebral palsy, autism, and functioning on the level of a 6-year-old. But once he was matched and placed with the right foster parent, we witnessed the transformation. Shane received the stability, love, and nurturing that he so needed. Over the last 5 years, Shane's foster mother provided the positive reinforcement and consistent structure he needed while ushering him into adulthood. Like many young adults with special needs in foster care, when Shane reached the age of 21, he almost fell through the cracks. But thanks to the collaborative efforts of Inspiritus, the Department of Children and Family Services, and the Department of Behavioral Health, he was successfully transitioned to Inspiritus's Disability Services program, where he continues to develop his independence, reach his full potential, and thrive. Like Shane, we see many of the youth in our program blossom and live full lives despite their challenges. And if they are unable to return home or be placed with relatives, many of our foster parents step up to the challenge and they adopt. And sometimes, like in Shane's case, we work to transition them to a host home where they can continue to receive support. Either way, we help them find their forever homes and to have a brighter future.
Stories tonight have covered, as you have heard, really in many cases from birth all the way to the very end of life. And the stories of the Inspiritus individuals that we accompany are somewhere on that journey. But what is true about each and every one of them is we believe that they can thrive.